No, so I'm saying that I know I've kind of read through the website. No worries, no worries. I got you. Yeah, so I was saying that. Can you sort of help summarize for me in very simple terms what GetQuick does? I read the website. I was speaking to Gilbert, but I'm curious to sort of hear your language around it and how you talk about it.
Regards to our service lines, is we do asset integrity management. In asset integrity management, what we do is we do inspections of client assets,
Mm-hmm.
pipelines, pressure vessels, and then we also have some maintenance as well that we do, pipeline repairs. We also have fabric maintenance. We have, what do we call it? Um, helideck friction tests.
Mm-hmm.
We do anything pipeline integrity. We are
Okay.
in.
Okay.
We support with QAPC. We do rope access as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then we do rigging and lifting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and aside the inspection, we have the quality QAQC programs, which
Mm-hmm.
also falls under the inspection
Mm-hmm.
program. That's the conventional and advanced NDT services. So a kind of a tailor-made solution that we offer to clients. We do
Mm-hmm.
consulting as well.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the key things we do in our consulting is that if clients should have any issues regard to how they want to manage the assets,
Mm-hmm.
we come in to also give some solution options in terms of optimizing their inspection program and also doing it at a cost-effective manner. So
Mm-hmm.
um, there's a bit of solutions regarding the service lines that
Mm-hmm.
we have and we offer our clients, and this is for both onshore and then offshore facilities.
Mm-hmm.
So that is basically, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's and the way you've approached branding so far, right? Um, can you summarize it for me? So you've maybe used freelancers, used vendors. Is there have you had like an ongoing relationship? Like how have you done it right now, and what's the problem with that?
I think we've been using freelancers. Once in a while, the marketing manager will get somebody to design stuff for here.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've had only one person design our website before. It was some issues came up
Mm-hmm.
where he couldn't really do a good job for us. So we just didn't pursue it any further.
Mm-hmm.
And then the IT um, admin himself, he's not in Ghana, he's in US.
Okay.
Um, his second, so he also once in a while put one or two touches based on the requirements from the marketing team on
Mm-hmm.
what they have to do and all that. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so basically it's the freelancers that you'll be using
Mm-hmm.
more often for most of our jobs actually.
Mm-hmm. And what's like the major problem with that?
A bit of inconsistency in regards to how we want to approach things because one, you know, the person has his own work that he's doing. He won't prioritize your work,
Okay.
and then there are several occasions where we've requested for things that we've not gotten feedback on, and a lot of the issue. And then the other thing to has to do with the branding outlook, because you see, it would be good to have someone who understands the branding where we'll have little effort in terms of contribution,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll have people come in to actually give their fair idea on how they think branding and then should go with the organization,
Mm-hmm.
um, where we wouldn't have to um, worry so much about um, the whole branding approach
Mm-hmm.
in regards to both marketing and also to general office and administrative staff as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Cool. The marketing manager is here now. I don't know. Is it Eva or
yeah,
who's the?
Ivan.
Hi, Eva. Can you hear me?
Maybe Ivan. Yeah,
Hello, can
yeah.
you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, hi, Eldad.
Hi, Eva. I'm interested in kind of hearing a little bit from you as well because you're the marketing manager. So I'm wondering, like, what are your specific challenges more directly in the approach that you have
Okay,
right now?
for yes, for the challenges, I think Mr. Ansar shared a bit on it. We want a more concerted approach. We've been working with, let's say, about roughly four designers, right?
Okay.
They each have their strengths
Mm-hmm.
and they deliver according to it. So when we need maybe a company profile, we go to this designer. When
Mm-hmm.
we need maybe a regular flyer for social media, we have this designer, and
Mm-hmm.
then maybe different documents. We are trying to bring all of that together
Mm-hmm.
so we know this is the person that we are working with. And also, we have some branding guidelines, right?
Mm-hmm.
You may share it with them, but they may not adhere strictly to it.
Mm-hmm.
But if we have someone who is focused and is working on all of these things, they know that for every um, documents or anything that they need to put out for us, it needs to adhere to these guidelines. And also, I think the speed with which they attend to it is definitely a problem. If you are working with a freelancer, it has more to do with the time that your work gets to them. That's how they are going to prioritize it. But if we
Mm-hmm.
have one company actually handling everything,
Mm-hmm.
they will prioritize our work and
Okay.
deliver within the timeline that we have given. So it's
Mm-hmm.
more bringing everything to a certain harmony, and then also the speed with which we can work, especially if the person is familiar with all aspects of the Jekrick brand.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. That is super helpful. I'm just making a bunch of notes because I want to like thoroughly understand where you're coming from. Okay, cool. So that's helpful. So I can answer some questions. I wanted to I wanted to understand where you're coming from, the problems you're trying to solve, because we work in a very specific way, and I wanted to. Yeah, I was just curious to see if you were trying to solve the same problems we try to solve. So essentially, what you're trying to do is why we exist, right? Which is businesses typically work with a bunch of freelancers. Um, and what that fundamentally means is, like Eva said, there's a lack of concerted effort, there's a lack of consistency, comms. So when I spoke to Gilbert, I kind of just went to the site and I was like, hey, this is kind of what I've seen based off of, the different outlooks and looking at your socials and your comms and all these different things. Uh, so essentially, that's our goal. Now, how we do that is usually broken down into three main parts, right? So first is what we call strategy, and that's basically a fancy word for saying we need to make some choices. We need to understand your market, right? So who are your customers? What kind of businesses do you talk to? Um, how do you reach these people? Who are the decision makers in those businesses? Who are the people that consume your information, right? Because if say a C-level executive that's 50 years old is looking at a company profile is different from a 35-year-old person from like a brand new company who just wants to get in the space. So the first part of strategy is just mapping out like what your market is like. Um, and I don't know where you stand in the industry, if you guys are new movers or, there are a bunch of other players. Also understanding what the landscape is like. And then based off of those two things, we make some choices around one, how do you want to represent yourself? Two, what kind of messages will resonate with the market? How you want to position yourself in the mind of these people, right? And this typically an exercise that's going to be done between one, your team, and if you can give us access to some of the customers that you've already worked with, because they have seen you and they somehow resonated with the stuff that you've done and decided to give you business, right? So I understand maybe you have a business development function, maybe some of the stuff is coming from maybe Gilbert's own relationships and brands, but if there is any insights as to how they made their decisions and what things they liked about how you presented yourself, we would like to know, because at the end of the day, they are the ones who are going to look at your stuff, resonate with it, and give you money and say, hey, you take the contract, right? So the first part is strategy, which is ask you a bunch of questions, see what's working, understand the market, speak to a few of your customers if you can, if we can have access to them. If not, we can make a few, I guess, educated guesses around what has worked so far based off of your internal insight, right? So that's first. The end of that strategic process is to come up with what we might call a brand strategy document, right? That essentially says, hey, this is who we are as Gekrick. This is what our hypothesis about the market is. This is how we want to represent ourselves. These are, our core identities, and these are some of like the position that we want to have in the mind of the customer. And this is going to serve as the basis of decision making for especially your branding and marketing functions, right? Because you want to be consistent in your tone on your socials, on your website, in your proposals, in your documents. You want people to feel like they're speaking to the same person. So having a really good strategic session gives us all the information we need to make the choices around how we're going to communicate, etc. And then that becomes the baseline of everything we do moving forward, right? So that's phase one, or step one. Step two is the visual identity. So now we're like, okay, we want to look serious because we're dealing with people who make very challenging decisions and it's high cost. We want to communicate this way, communicate that way. Then we get to go like, okay, how do we represent that? What does our logo look like? What does the color look like? What shapes are we using? If we're using images, what images are those? Are we taking those pictures? Are we buying them from online? And we're making all these decisions because we know what the market is and we know what things may resonate, and we also know how we want to position ourselves. So it makes the process easy because when you get to this stage, there can be a lot of challenges with preferences of like, hey, I think I like red, or I think I like yellow, or I think I like blue, or I don't like this shape, or I don't like that shape. But fundamentally, it comes down to, okay, who is the customer? What do we think will resonate based off of the strategy? That way, we can be able to make decisions around like some of these key things, right? So this is where we get to build maybe something similar to what you already have, right? With your logo, your brand identity. And because you've already done something, it may even be possible that we go through the process and we're like, hey, you don't really need to change what you have because for all intents and purposes, it works for like how you're trying to communicate, right? So the second part is the visual identity. And this is where the guidelines and all these different things come in, right? Then you have the third part, which is implementation and execution. So this is the ongoing basis of like, hey, we need a flyer for this, or hey, we need to make a social media announcement, or oh, we need to tweak a pitch deck for this person, or we need to create a company profile, or we need to do a video for our website, or we need to do a video for this event or for this conference, right? So this is the work that happens on a day-to-day, on a regular basis. But like you said already, all this is going to be concerted because we have the guidelines, we understand the decisions we're making, and hopefully we're the one handling all these different things. So we can actually take you all the way, right? So typically, this is like what our process falls into. And the way we work, we're able to deliver 99.9% of things. And if there's something we genuinely cannot do, we're going to let you know that, hey, we are not the best people to do this. So maybe speak to this person, but we still supervise and still be in the process. But most of the time, through our network and our agency, we're able to like deliver almost everything that you need. So typically, those are the three phases. We should go some strategic phase, we go through some visual design phase, and each of these processes are done with you, right? So we are not sitting because we have the technical knowledge, but you know your industry the best, right? I don't really understand the industry like you do, so it is your insight of the industry plus our technical knowledge that's able to produce an identity that we think works, that can actually communicate and do all the different things that you want it to do, right? So typically, that's the process, and it's iterative. So during brand identity design or visual identity design, you could go over until you get an iteration, but implementation becomes easier because we are not going back and forth about if that's the right shape or if that's the right color, if that's the right layout, right? And we have a guideline for content, etc. So yeah, that's a summary of what the process looks like. I could answer more questions, delve deeper if there's anything specific that you want to know, but on a high level, that's kind of how it works. And we have experience across board, so we work for both, I guess you could call them newer tech-based company, and then for traditional companies, companies working in gov tech, in education, NGOs. So we also have insight from all these different spaces. So whoever you're dealing with, we're able to do a pretty good job of like connecting the dots and figuring out what works for them and how to represent you and how to have the conversations. But yeah, that's a bird's eye view. Happy to take more detailed questions, here. If there's any specific things you want me to delve into, I'm happy to answer all that for you.
Okay.
Yeah, hello. Oh, no, sorry.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. My network was breaking. Was there a question to me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Eva, can you answer? Was there a question that probably you can answer?
Okay, so he was asking if we had any questions for him.
Oh, okay. All right. So, um, Eva, so how do you proceed? How that, and maybe I'll throw the same question to you. How do you proceed then?
So it's two things. One, it's you guys saying, hey, we think you can do the job, and like you actually think you can do the job. That's the first thing. So I can send over our website. You can look at a bunch of stuff. But if you make that decision, then the next thing would be to understand what timelines you're looking at, and then try to figure out a range for like budget, right? So like I said, you already have
Mm-hmm.
some things, so we're going to review all that documents, see if what you have is solid enough, and see what needs to change. Have maybe like another preliminary conversation after this one. Then we need to establish some cost range in terms of, okay, we want to do this, we think it's going to cost X, Y, Z. And there are two types of costs. So for the strategy and the visual identity work, that's going to be defined as a project, where it's like, okay, here is a cost for doing that. And then you have the ongoing work that's going to happen on retainer based off of like what you need and what you think you might need. And that might change over time, because you might think, hey, we need this amount of things, but then in the first 2 months you're like, nah, not really. So let's see that increase or decrease that. So it's a bit to figure all those things out. Yeah, and then put a timeline to it, start work, right? But the first two phases are, let's review what you have a little bit more, because I don't have access to the brand guidelines. So I don't know how thorough it is. See, you know, understand that a bit more, and you've told me some of your needs. Maybe if we can put a document together that goes like, here's everything we are looking to do. Yeah, then we scope it out, talk budget, and if we're able to align, then the game starts. The things will be in phases, so it'll be proper project management. You're going to be in the process. You can see how everything works. But yeah, those would be like next steps. If we again review, scope it out, set a budget, a timeline, and then we start work.
Okay. All right. So, Elder, this is what we'll do. Let me have some internal meetings with Eva and the team, and
Okay.
Eva would get back to you
All right.
based on what you've said so far.
Mm-hmm.
Then I think we can draft the way forward in regards to how we want to approach the whole
Okay.
thing.
Okay. Okay. All right. Sweet. And yeah, my
I don't know if
contact.
that
So
sounds like a plan.
yeah, that sounds like a plan. But quick one though. When should I expect to hear back from you on that? Can I have like a specific date?
Eva should call by tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Sweet.
she'll call by tomorrow. So,
Okay. Ideally, that should, if it's possible, maybe do like late afternoon, say past 2:30 p.m. Because my calendar is pretty full up until then. So, yeah, ideally from 2:30 p.m. That would be ideal for me.
okay.
I
I
think
think she will get back to you on there and maybe reach out and know when you are free, and then you
Okay.
guys can take it from there.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. All right. Sweet. Okay. So
All right.
thanks
Thanks so much,
everyone.
Eldad. I don't know if anyone has any question.
Yes, Eldad, in the meantime, could you kindly share a portfolio of previous projects that you've done for clients similar or exactly similar?
Sure
If you
thing.
could kindly share a portfolio, that
Um,
would be great.
I'm putting a link to our website. Um, all our portfolios there, all the case studies for the different things. I'll send it to Edward as well on WhatsApp, so maybe we can share it with you. Um,
Okay.
yeah. Some work we haven't put out mostly because of NDAs. So if you have any questions that I think can be answered by those projects, you can hop on a call and I'll show you that stuff via call.
Mm,
But
okay.
yeah, that's
That's fine. So yes, we'll have our internal meeting and then I'll revert with what exactly you want to do. Then we
All
can
right.
proceed with the proposal.
All right.
Alright,
Sure thing. I'll be looking forward to hear back from you.
sure. Thank you.
All right.
Any questions from the team? Blaze?
No, please, no questions.
Okay.
All right. Sweet. Have a great one then.
Same.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Cheers.